Hey, it is April 7th on Friday morning. Just doing my check in here. So, been another busy week, especially on the meal coach front. Again, I'm super excited that can get into a groove to be able to work on, meal coach as a project. So, that's been awesome. We did a bunch of stuff around still like I'll talk about some of the back end changes in the code. It's maybe a little bit less exciting. I was having fun, but we got our new landing page up and running. So we're using we have WordPress because we wanted to basically build around WordPress as a landing page, but we experimented a little bit with Webflow actually and have something we're pretty pumped about in terms of the layout and the organization. Like it feels really good to be able to open up the landing page and like it feels professional. I guess that's the best way to put it. I think it's not that you can't achieve that with WordPress, but given that we are not super strong on the design front, I feel like you just need a lot more effort into WordPress to get it to that point. But yeah, opening up the landing page on on a desktop on mobile, like it feels really good to like scroll through. So super pumped about that. Um, it sounds like a minor thing, but I mean like we kind of there's a lot of stuff that had to kind of go into to making that work. In particular, we didn't just want to drop WordPress in case we still want to build out other pages and have like being able to be thought leaders and posting content on the stuff that meal coach is related to will help with SEO and things like that. So we didn't just want to like switch over to Webflow and drop WordPress, but had to make them both work together. And we use Cloudflare for a bunch of stuff. So there's a fun time kind of making sure that we could have things work. And honestly, I posted like a joke video maybe 3 months ago or something, like a short that was talking about the hardest things in programming. Anyway, one of the hardest things in that list is cache invalidation, and I think this is the perfect example because Cloudflare we used for caching, but we also still had local caching on the website. So what was happening was we were making all these changes, clearing the Cloudflare cache, and I totally forgot that WordPress itself was caching the page setup. So anyway, we had a nightmare debugging it, but in the end, like it got to the point where I gave up and said we got to put it back because the site's totally busted. Put it back, air quotes, put it back, and by putting it back, I actually fully enabled it the way we wanted, except only when you were bypassing the cache. And then I realized, oh crap, there's a second cache. So anyway, stop talking about that. Bunch of work there, but that was fun. And the new landing page I'm really pumped about. So on the back end, pardon me. This is where it would be good to actually edit these videos, but you're getting the raw footage. So on the back end, I I wanted to do more work around so not adding features. We're at a point where we want to start getting user feedback. So I'm hoping this weekend and beyond, like that's kind of the next phase for us. But I get nervous about like I was trying to explain this to the other engineer. I believe in everything we're doing. I know that the group that I'm working with, like I say this confidently that we can go build anything. Like give us a challenge. I'm confident we can come up with something. Like that's how confident like you know anything we want to build, I know we're capable of. The thing that makes me nervous is like I I don't seem to feel this way when it's someone else's like business, if it's someone else's like product. If we're building features in someone else's product, like I don't feel this way. I still feel very confident, but what I'm feeling for our own stuff is like I'm nervous. I It feels almost like public speaking kind of thing, right? So as confident as I am in like our ability to you know build products that work, respond to customer feedback, like engineer things effectively, I have so much confidence in that, but because it's something that's like, I'm gonna use the word like my idea, but I mean like our idea, right? So because it's instead my idea versus some company's idea, I'm just so very nervous about people reacting to it. So that right now for me is like one of the biggest things holding me back personally. I feel like there's no good reason for it. It's like I know it's like an internal thing. Um, so I'm just trying to be aware of that because I don't want that to be like the oh like let me like maybe we should just wait another week, another 2 weeks. Let me just one more feature. It's never like I'll be holding us back if I get to that point. So anyway, because I still want to be coding and contributing before we're getting the user feedback coming in, I figured what better way to help build some of that confidence up than actually adding like code coverage for our tests. And we had a bunch of code coverage. We write software in a way that's very testable. That's like one of our tenets, I guess. And that doesn't mean that we go test everything all the time right away. We just write it such that it can be tested. So I was going through checking out code coverage and just being like, man, like we have a lot of our service layers covered, but not our API layers. We're waiting to do some types of tests called packed tests, where we can actually have the front end tests that are packed tests generate the server side tests that we have to go implement and have supported because it becomes like a contract on the API. So we want to do that, but we intend to actually change some of our server architecture before those make sense. And what I mean by that is our server architecture is a lot of individual services. Call them like microservices. I think it's actually a modular monolith. The server's deployed as a monolith, but has lots of little services. What we're anticipating that we're doing once the UI starts to align to the user feedback and it feels more consistent is that we build aggregate services. And these are the ones that I would like to basically use these packed tests on. But we kind of came to that realization more recently, and that meant that there was a gap on all of these API endpoints on the server side. So I went, oh shit. It's good that we're in a spot now where we have database queries covered and for Mongo, for MySQL, great. But we don't have the APIs covered. So I went, okay, like time to go do that. And for me, I didn't want to go write unit tests on this stuff. I'm going to go publish a full video on this on YouTube, but so if you're watching this, that video's probably been out for ages now, but I want to publish a video that talks about this mentality shift because I always talk about unit testing. I think unit testing is important, but what I think when I message this, I think what's most important, and maybe I'm not being transparent enough about it, I think it's important to write tests that, sorry, let me back up. I think it's important to write code that is unit testable because I think a lot of the traits that go into unit testable code make your code modular, make it flexible, and then afford you this ability to go write unit tests without being like, ah, shit, I have to go rewrite everything just to unit test it. That does not mean that I think that unit tests are the best thing. I just think that if you bake some of these patterns into how you code, then you have this in your pocket to be able to pull out and be like, aha, like I can go test this now without rewriting everything. And I think that's really powerful. So what I want to talk about in that video is that like my mentality, especially on this project Meal Coach, has shifted a lot because the core piece that I just mentioned there, writing testable code, still stands. That part not shifting. But I'm not going and writing unit tests. I'm writing functional tests that are super high level. They're not asserting on a lot of things because when they're high level and functional, like they will be brittle if you go asserting a lot of really small details, because the more you do that and the more the guts of what you're covering change, like if it covers a lot of code, the likelihood of your test breaking is going to keep going up. So I'm doing like really high level API tests. They'll exercise from the API right down to the database, back up to return values. And what I'm asserting on is pretty lightweight. But this is giving me confidence in what we have. And that's, I think, I would love to debate people on this because this is my philosophy about testing. Testing is about giving you confidence. And that's it. Like fundamentally, tests give you confidence in what you're creating. So these types of tests. Hi, Lila. There's a little cameo from Lila. She's super cute. Tests fundamentally are a tool to give you confidence in your changes. So for me, these types of API tests are exactly the piece that I need to have more confidence. And why? And the why is because, like before, I had this fear about our database stuff. I didn't have any database pieces covered. It was kind of unit testing and functionally testing stuff in between, but didn't have a system set up to like have a real database that's not mocked like in code, but without being production. So we're using test containers for that. Now I can go run the queries, I can go make changes to them, and they will break tests if I mess them up. Confidence, way up. On the API front, similar story. I want to be in a position where when we're iterating to make changes, once we have people using it, that I can go make a change to the API or change something in the flow. And these API tests cover just enough that I should be confident that, like, if I've broken something, which is still bound to happen, if I've broken something, at least it's not so obvious that like basic customer behavior is just going to fall apart, API is busted. So these types of tests give me that confidence. So I'm just going to reiterate a couple things here. I think writing unit testable code is very important because it will save you time if you want to go write unit tests. And I think a lot of the philosophies that go into that style of code are very beneficial for flexibility and extensibility. And then the other part that or I guess two pieces. Sorry, I rant a lot. Rant. The other two pieces are that unit tests are not superior to functional tests and vice versa. I think there's benefits to both. And currently, so this is the last part, currently I am focused on functional tests because for confidence, that's what tests give you, confidence in your changes. That's the gap that I'm trying to close. So I spent a lot of time this past week just writing functional API tests, doing a lot of really cool stuff for refactoring. I think it's cool. It's probably nerdy as shit, but isn't all of this? That's why you're here. I think it was really cool to be able to refactor some of the test setup stuff so that I can get this balance between effectively spinning up containers that I need for testing, reusing pieces where they make sense for efficiency, but also isolating enough because each individual test scenario might want to seed different types of data. So I need to be able to isolate enough that gives me that flexibility between tests. So anyway, that's meal coach stuff. Super pumped. Oh, sorry, last thing on that. We were supposed to this past week have our meeting with this other team I've mentioned in my other videos. Got pushed once more. We were talking about this weekend. Easter, pretty big deal for a couple people on the team for family stuff. So we're going to try to push to this Wednesday coming up. So we'll update folks after that. Still remain excited about that. Talk to the other sort of team lead on that. You know, we're pretty pumped. Okay, that's it for Meal Coach. Content wise, a little bit behind on blogs. I have a couple ideas pending right now. And actually the next part that I want to talk about is video content. So I slipped up for a little bit the first time between last night and today. I didn't have my advanced topic video for Fridays sort of in a good state. So I did what I could. I ended up editing and publishing a video that's slightly more introductory content. It's not like super primitive, like you've never coded before, but was talking about composition and unit testing, that kind of stuff. It's still pretty basic. So I felt bad about that. That was the first time with my new content plan where I kind of slipped up and just wasn't in a spot where I could publish the advanced topic. I have time this weekend, so I have to do taxes and all that kind of stuff. So I got to spend some time on that. But I do want to record some stuff for some advanced topics. I mentioned this concept about unit testing and functional testing that I don't know how I want to frame that one yet, because I think it's beneficial to show some of the code for that kind of stuff, but I also think that if I just talk like in a video like this, people will be like, "This is the most boring shit ever. Don't want to watch it." So we'll see. I want to record something on that, and then the advanced topic that I want to put some content out on is implicit operators. I don't like them to be honest, but I found a use case that's really working well for me. I want to talk about that, so I'll put that video out. Otherwise, yeah, just I tapping into a little bit more automation on the social media posting front. It consumes time, right? So trying to do that. The biggest reason for the automation pieces, aside from just blasting out new content when it's posted, the other piece around automation is like exposing new people to older content. And that's because the content that I'm trying to create, I know a lot of people do this. There's a lot of advice on social media that's like go trend hopping, and I understand the benefit to that, to like just trying to get, not necessarily viral, but like getting more eyes on your stuff than you should normally because of some trend. I understand the benefit of that. Will I never do it? I can't say that, but I just don't like the idea of it. I want my content to be stuff that people, when you have challenges or you want information, you search it and you go learn about it. So for me, that implies that if there are newer eyes that have never heard of me, seen my content, then I want to keep sharing out that content, even if it's not new. So you watching this, you might be like, Nick, I've already seen this blog you put, I've already seen this video you're posting about, but I want some automation around those pieces so that new folks can see some of the older material that I still think is very relevant. So I think that's probably it. It's almost 20 minutes of me just rambling, so sorry about that. But I hope you got some insights out of this. I appreciate you being here. I should have said I appreciate you at the beginning of this video because you probably didn't stay right to the end. But if you stayed right to the end on this one, then thank you so much. Like I said, I appreciate it. It is a lot of work to put this stuff together, right? It's not. I mean, I'm talking to a mic right now. Whatever, it might seem pretty basic, but it is a bunch of work. So, I hope that you continue to enjoy the content. Thanks for supporting, and we'll see the next check in next week. Take care. And I would say enjoy your weekend. I'm going to enjoy my weekend. This might not be a weekend for you, though, so that doesn't apply. But see ya.